I spoke a short time ago with the Greens Senator and spokesperson on the arts, Sarah Hanson-Young. I began by asking her for her reaction to the Labor policy.
This is a really good start, Kieran. After a decade of our Australian artists and creative workers being effectively sidelined and undermined by previous government policy, it's a good step forward, and it's nice to finally hear a government talking about the contribution and the value that our creative industries bring to not just us as a community and a society, but to the economy as well. And we're going to go through the policy with a fine-tooth comb. I'll look at whether we can refer elements of it to the Senate committee, the Communications Committee, so that we can make sure we understand exactly how this will work. Some of it will require legislation, and that's when the Greens will be in the box seat to go through those elements and to negotiate with the government. But let me say first up, this is a good first step. How it's implemented and whether there's enough money aside for it all is the big question, and I'll be looking and watching very closely to what's in the budget.
One of the areas of the policy that's generated a lot of attention but hasn't yet been locked in is the quota for streaming services to have a quota of Australian content. What's your view on that? Where should that mark be set?
This is a really important part, and it's something that Australia isn't just considering in isolation. Other countries right around the world are putting their quotas in place for local content, forcing big streaming giants like Netflix and Disney and others that if they are generating revenue in each country, that a percentage of that goes back into creating local stories from Australia. And here in this situation, it's quite clear that if we don't put something in place, we're going to lose Australian stories. So Netflix and Disney and others, there should be a 20% quota. So 20% of the revenue that these big streaming giants make in Australia should be put back into the industry here, telling Australian stories, making sure Australian audiences can access it. And above all else, and this is something I'm particularly passionate about, is for children's content. It's so essential that our Aussie kids get to hear their own accents, get to see their own backyards, their own schools, their own streets reflected back at them. Kids are consuming content more than ever before on a variety of devices. It's not like just sitting down in front of the TV. They're consuming so much. We need to make sure that we can protect to ensure that our kids get a good dose of Aussie content.
Now, when it comes to the streaming services, the support and their popularity has grown in a huge way in the last couple of years alone. Are there positive signs from those services that they are willing to make those investments in Australian arts?
Well, some are definitely showing very positive signs. We look at Netflix and their investment last year into Heartbreak High. It was a screaming success. But what we need to make sure is that these industries and these big streaming giants are regulated properly and fit for purpose, just like how we manage things with the free-to-air televisions, or indeed, I'm on Sky talking to you right now, Kieran. Foxtel subscription services in that sense do have quotas. So if Foxtel has to have a quota, then I think it's only fair that Netflix and Disney have to abide by a quota as well.